welcome to Tea Time Teaching. I'm Yvonne, and today I'm going to be talking about how I live off a teacher's salary here in Southern California. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into this video. Number one, I live in Southern California, about an hour from Los Angeles. There are two people in my household, myself and my husband. I have a double income household, myself and my husband. I do not own a home yet, but I do rent. My highest level of education is a bachelor's degree in liberal studies and a multiple subject credential. Now, I also have a side trade, which is doing hair. I literally went from being a beautician to an educator. Well, here we go. When we're talking about how different everybody's experience is, I'm sorry to tell you that I do not have any loans. Crazy, right? So my dad pushed me to go the cheapest route for education, and we made a deal that if I went the more affordable route, which was to go to a community college first, then transfer to a Cal State, that he would pay for my college tuition and I would be able to be debt free, which was pretty cool. So I do not have any debt at all. And when I say I don't have debt, neither does my husband. My husband actually had about a total of $70,000 of debt that included his student loans, his car, and credit cards. And he got that all paid off the day after we got married. Now, if you're wondering how we did that, we did follow the Dave Ramsey program. If you want me to go more into detail about that in other videos, please let me know and I will gladly do so. There are two different elements to how I get paid in my district. The first one is based off how much education I have, and the other is based off how many years I have put in. I'm gonna go ahead and show you a chart of my actual pay scale salary, just so that you can have an idea of what it looks like. Now, if you look at this chart, you can see that every single year you get a raise until you hit year 14, and then you have to wait till year 18. Then you gotta wait for year 22, and so on and so forth every 4 years. But the first 14 years, you are getting a raise every single year. Also, you have the ability to earn more by earning more education, pushing all the way over here. So I don't know if that was too much information for me to share with you, but I really don't care. To me, money is money, and people get funny about it, and if we're gonna talk about it, I'm just gonna be real about it with you. So I don't really have anything to hide. It's not like I'm this like super rich teacher, but I think it is important that you stay realistic when you are looking for a job and looking for the benefits that you need for your job and how much you want to get paid, you know? Number 8, I am technically on step 3, year 4. And I should be on year 5, but I'm not, because my first year teaching, I actually started after the middle of the first semester of school. So I started in November, and that ended up being past the date of being, I believe, 75% into the school year. So if you lose the first 25% of the school year and you start late, they're not gonna count that first year for anything for you, whether it's for your retirement or your pay increase or anything like that. I couldn't even sign up for my induction program. So my first year teaching was very, very challenging because I had no guidance whatsoever, and I was basically on my own, sink or swim, right? Now, I am working on pushing to the furthest side of the pay scale, which would be step 4, and I actually have done a lot of online courses. You would have to check with your district to see if they actually receive that credit as counting towards your pay, because not all school districts are made equal. So please make sure before you start signing up for any online classes that you make sure that your school district is okay with that. Now, my induction program also allowed me to collect a lot of units as well, so it brought me closer to being further on the pay scale. Now, just a heads up, some school districts do not pay for your induction program, so please make sure before you apply that you ask that question. You have to go through an induction program the first 2 years of teaching so that you can clear your credential. Thankfully, my district did not charge me, but if you are looking for a job and you're looking for a school that you want to work at, please make sure that you ask those questions before you commit to a contract. Number 9, I do not supplement my income because I don't need to. Now, I do earn extra income. I do that in various ways. One of them is working during the summer for summer school. I did not do that this summer. Instead, I did sign up for a lot of PD and I am receiving pay for that. Another way that I get paid extra is by substituting my prep. So if there's a teacher that just needs 1 hour covered during my prep time, then I just go to their classroom, sub for my prep time, and come back to my class and continue with my day. Another way that I get paid extra is by doing tutoring after school once a week at my school site. Now, every school district and every school site is different, so you got to ask those questions before assuming that that's just how it's going to be. I taught 7th grade and I had a class of 38 students consistently throughout the whole school year. Now, our cap was 35, which meant that I was over 3 students and I would get paid per kid per period. It actually added up. And I had to do a lot of paperwork to make sure that I got my income, but I got it. You have the right to get paid when you have overages, and if your school district requires you to go through tedious paperwork to get that done like mine does, it's worth it. If not, then you're working for free, and who wants to do that? Now, when I was in elementary, I did not have the same opportunities that I have here in middle school. In elementary school, the only time I would ever get any supplemental income was if a teacher was absent and could not get covered and I had overages of students coming into my classroom, and I would get paid per student per day. Number 10. Wow, how much money does my district give me for school supplies? Okay, so my school district, I've noticed that it was a little different between the 2 schools that I worked at. So when I taught primary, I got $200 and I could only spend it through the school. So they didn't just hand me the money. I had to put in a worksheet order, hand it to the secretary, and they ordered it for me and delivered it to my classroom. Now, that was easier when I was in elementary school because it wasn't too bad to get, you know, enough for all my kids. When I moved to middle school, that got harder because now I'm not just teaching 32 kids. I'm teaching 38 kids for 4 periods straight plus my elective. And I don't have the same amount of money to spend on supplies as I would in elementary school. When I got to middle school, I got $150 for the whole school year, which sounds like pennies to me. Unfortunately, everything comes out of pocket and out of my students' pockets. And what's very interesting is I worked at both schools that were Title I schools, and you would think that there would be more funding, but there isn't. And expecting the parents to donate, we don't expect them to donate because some of these parents are trying to live and survive. But most of the time, okay, like it's rare that the kids don't show up with school supplies, and if they really cannot afford the school supplies, then I will supply it. But now that I'm in middle school and I have a lower budget, I require my students to get their own supplies. Number 12, I do feel like my salary meets my needs because my husband and I have chosen to live under our means and we don't have any debt. We are able to survive, if that makes sense, and save money for a future home. Yes, my salary does help me live the lifestyle that I need to live comfortably. Number 13, I technically am under a contract where I'm supposed to be getting paid 11 out of 12 months of the year. Now, I did sign up for a program called deferred pay where my school district automatically pulls out a percentage of my paycheck every single month to create a little bank of money that I would receive that 12th month that I wouldn't get paid. There's also another option. I have Schools First Credit Union, and they are a bank out here in Southern California, and they have this savings account that's called Summer Saver. When it comes to Summer Saver, it's all in your hands. So basically what you do is you tell the bank how much money you want pulled out of every single check to get put into your Summer Saver. This Summer Saver is actually a great investment because you are earning interest at a higher rate than you would at your regular bank. What's good about that is they hold that money until that 12th month, and then they release it into your checking account, and you've earned interest on top of actually having money set aside for that 12th month. Number 14. So I would say my top 4 expenses are my rent, insurance, food, and tithing. My husband and I do believe in tithing, so we do give 10% of every single paycheck that we receive. Although that sounds like so much, we really do believe that that's why we are blessed, and God has always covered for us, always met our needs when needed. So yeah. All right, number 15. Do I have any financial goals that I'm working on? Yes, absolutely. My husband and I are trying to save 20% for a down payment for a home in our area, which is gonna take quite some time for us, especially here in Southern California. And we wanna continue to remain debt-free. Being debt-free really frees up just your peace of mind. How can you help other people when you can't even help yourself? That's a struggle. That's something that we are working towards eventually in the future. But until then, we're working small and building one brick at a time. Okay, last but not least, I like this question. So what is your biggest piece of financial advice you would offer someone considering teaching? Oh my gosh. Dave Ramsey, if you haven't heard of him, he is a financial advisor. He has a course that you could take. You can actually go online and find out where the nearest classes are to you. They're offered all across the United States. My husband and I actually began coordinating classes in 2015, a year after we took the class. We have seen so many different people come in, from young to old to being well off and just trying to learn more, or being in crazy debt and trying to figure out how are they going to pay for their next meal. Like, it gets real, you guys. It gets real. I would highly recommend that class. Whether you think you got it together or not, you can always have room for growth. Just some key factors from that program would be, first of all, to get an emergency fund. We have an emergency fund up to 6 months just in case one of us was to lose our jobs. That is very helpful because, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen. We're not promised anything. So make sure that you have an emergency fund, or, you know, put at least $1,000 aside and then start paying off your debt like no other. I understand everybody's situation is different, but by all means, if whatever you can do possible, stop putting yourself into more debt. You've already accumulated enough if you have debt right now. Also, I would say live below your means. And when I say live below your means, stop acting like you got all the money in the world, because you don't. I think we live in a generation where we feel like we have to keep up, even as teachers. Like, you're looking at other teachers and what they have in their classrooms and how perfect they are. You know what? My classroom was real basic, and it's still basic. This is probably the first year where I'm actually trying to decorate my classroom, but to be honest with you, I just don't care. My kids come in and I do my job and I build relationships with them and I teach them the best that I can, and they don't need a cutesy classroom to make that happen. Secondhand does not kill unless it's smoking. But secondhand things like clothes, things for your classroom, those things are really easy to shop for. I love going yard sale shopping. I love going thrifting with my husband on Saturdays. I have found some great things for my classroom. I have found great clothes to wear. Please know that just because you don't have the money doesn't mean that you have to look raggedy. And just because you want to look nice doesn't mean that you have to go broke to get that done. There is a way for you to dress nicely, and there's a way for you to decorate your classroom decently without spending a lot of money. And lastly, priorities, y'all. You need to know what you need and what you want. Make a list. What are my needs? Let's focus on them, prioritize them, put them in order 1 through 10, whatever, and then talk about what you want. Because all the things that you think that you need, you probably don't. What you really need to do is start focusing on taking care of yourself, invest in yourself first, and then invest in your classroom. You already have the talent, you have the voice, you have the education to do your job. You do not have to have the perfect classroom. All right, well, I think that's it for today. Also, shout out to Toocoolformiddleschool and SmartieStyle for putting this idea together. This is so powerful and I'm so grateful to be a part of it. And if you are a teacher watching, please, please, please jump on the wagon and do the same, because we all need to educate each other and our future teachers. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.